Hello everyone, welcome to another ball review. This one is for the Storm Hyroad Nano, which is in their Thunder line. I use my typical test layout again, 65 by 5 1/4 by 40, which is also the same layout I have on my most recent original Hyroad, which we will see later in the video. Now, when reviewing a ball, one of the biggest things we look for is what descriptive terms we can use, and yeah, a lot of them end up being pretty overused or cliche terms, but sometimes it's like calling a red shirt red. Like, I mean, what else are you going to call it? So we look for descriptive terms though, so we can describe the ball reaction, because it may not be super apparent on the video, and there may be some subtle details that you may not notice or have a hard time picking up on from just watching the ball instead of actually being the one throwing it. This is where I'm stuck with this ball though. I mean, this is the most balanced ball reaction that I've ever this is the most balanced ball in terms of reaction that I've ever thrown, and it's just not close. I mean, it's got good length, but not too much. It's got a strong move on the back end, but not too strong. It has good mid-lane roll, but it's not too heavy. It's fairly continuous, but not too continuous. It hooks a decent amount, but not too much, and just kind of so on and so forth. Every place I try to go, or every angle I try to consider, to find some kind of hard or clear description for this ball just returns me to that same general issue. I don't know how to describe it. It's so balanced across the board that whatever I said about it would be somewhat inaccurate, because there's not one single, even tiny little attribute that it's definitely one way or the other, which is kind of interesting to think about. I mean, Storm took two of the biggest words in company history and put them together, Hyroad and Nano, and what they ended up with was the most unassuming, nondescript, and quietly great ball that they've ever made. This is indeed a Hyroad that can handle heavier volumes, and if there's one thing for sure, one thing that I could definitely say about this ball is that it's an absolute ninja. I mean, it does nothing remarkable. It does nothing that makes you take notice. There's nothing about what this ball does going down the lane that'll make you stop and say, wow. It just puts the pins to bed in the pit and calls it a day. As far as ratings go, for value, it gets a +3. It's a really good ball that's somewhat reminiscent of the IQ Tour Nano. I know the cores are wildly different, but as I've said before, the Nano cover has really dominant characteristics, so I did expect a somewhat similar look. This is the first time we've seen this cover at this low of a price point. For design intent, it gets a +2. This is absolutely exactly what I expected out of this. It's a Hyroad that could handle heavier volumes. That's exactly what this is. The only knock on it is that it's nearly master line hook potential. So for hook, it gets a +3. It's actually not much more aggressive than the other releases in this line. Compared to the Torrent and the Rocket Ship, it's just a few boards stronger. So it's strong-ish for the line it's in, but not by a huge amount, though it is still the strongest ball that we've seen in this line. For versatility, it gets another +3 because it's got so much balance. I can't imagine who this wouldn't be good for. It's going to have the widest range of condition coverage conceivably achievable on a ball. So once again, I end up with a +11 on a system where we shouldn't be getting numbers like that. But this is just where we're at. I mean, it used to be that older technology would end up in lower lines several years down the road when bigger and stronger stuff came out, and it would still be good, but its age would be kind of obvious. That's just not the case anymore. The Nano cover is still a premier reaction, and that core is a legend, but obviously still a dominant factor. Shot shape is just a plain arc. Nothing stands out about the shape at all. Condition type is anything and everything that you can use it on. It was in a lot of people's hands at the World Series of Bowling, and while it may need just a tad bit of polish for League, a couple of games of lane shine will get you to the same place. The Hyroad Nano releases on December 1st. Thank you for choosing Storm.